What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for clicking on the video. I have a Wandering Ronin build here for you today. I've been wanting to tool around with the Samurai build for a while. I love the RP of the Samurai class in Elden Ring, and I also am a big fan of that time in Japan. So I have put together a Samurai build that I think you are going to have a lot of fun with, and there are two different ways to play this build, which we will go over. So, per usual, I'm going to go over the weapons, the armor, all the talismans you're going to need, where to find everything that I'm using in this build, your Flask of Wondrous Physic, and if there's time at the end, maybe I'll throw a summon or two at you, just so those of us who want to use summons will have something to play with in this build. Let's get into it. So starting off right away, I want to go directly into the weapons. I wanted to stick with the Samurai build because I don't want to break that RP of being a Samurai in Elden Ring while we're playing. So the first weapon we're going to be using is the Cross Naginata. Now, I have this at plus 24. I would have it at plus 25, but you know, I don't have enough stones. It is what it is. We are going to have a physical damage of 245 plus 356 with this build, a attribute scaling of Strength D, Arcane D, and Dex B, and the reason I have arcane scaling on here is because I've actually put a poison effect on this weapon. Typically, it has a blood loss buildup of 60, but I also wanted to put a little bit extra on here with blood tax, the Ash of War, and I made it a poison affinity. So with this weapon, we're going to get a poison buildup and blood loss buildup at the exact same time. I mentioned blood tax. We're going to talk about that here in just a second, but in order to wield this weapon in the first place, your strength is going to be 16 and your dex is going to need to be 20. With that being said, you can get this weapon really early in the game, and it's going to be found in the Gale Tunnel, found on a corpse inside of a cavern with a giant land octopus hanging from the ceiling. Once you kill that octopus or not, you can grab this item and go about your gameplay. I love this weapon a lot. I put blood tax on it because I wanted the very rapid stabbing motion, and blood tax is also going to heal you with every single hit that you get, which is really, really nice, and it actually is a decent amount of health that you get back for using blood tax, and in New Game Plus, any extra health is going to help a lot. You will not be able to get this Ash of War until you're decently through the game. It's going to be found in the Mogun Dynasty area in a small cave, but if you don't have this yet, you can replace it with repeating thrust. You just won't get the health back on hit, but that's a small sacrifice, and overall, it's not going to matter a ton. Obviously, with all that said, the Cross Naginata is going to be a spear, but the moveset is really, really cool. You have vertical strikes, horizontal strikes, and a mix of both as you're attacking with your light attack, and you get a really good charging thrust when you use your heavy attack. The way this differs from our second style of play is the fact that you are going to be using a spear rather than a katana, but we're going to get into that in just a moment. Now, in both ways we're going to play this build, it is going to be a little bit more on the aggressive side because you want to get that blood loss and status effect buildup of the poison as fast as possible. With the Naginata, you're going to be attacking really, really quickly, and you're going to try to do as much damage as possible and then back off a little bit so you can get a few thrusting attacks in, get some distance between you and your enemy, and then go back into the fray. With our second weapon that we're going to talk about right now, you are just going to be as aggressive as possible, and with your Ash of War, you're going to play a little bit at range and then close in on your target. Our second weapon for this build is going to be a Blood Nagakiba. Now, this weapon is absolutely incredible. It's going to have a slash and pierce katana moveset, and with our Ash of War Bloody Slash, you are going to be pouring out damage with this weapon. Your physical attack power is going to be 236 plus 376, and your attribute scaling with this weapon is going to be Strength D, Dexterity B, and Arcane as D. This is going to give you a blood loss buildup of 110 with the Bloody Slash Ash of War on it, which is excellent, and the attributes required to wield this weapon are going to be Strength 18 and Dexterity 22. If you want to snag this weapon for yourself, there are two ways you can do that. Number one, you can kill Yura right at the beginning of the game and have this katana and just slash through everybody, or you can do Yura's questline where you get to the Church of Marika, he will drop it there for you. As I said previously, you are going to play this build with this weapon very aggressively. You want to get the blood loss build up. With Bloody Slash, you are going to be just absolutely ruining bosses and NPCs in this game, so I definitely love playing with both of these playstyles, and the Nagakiba's range almost makes it like you are using a spear because this is the largest katana in the entire game. Now, if you want to snag the Bloody Slash Ash of War, it is going to be very easy to acquire at the beginning of the game, so if you decide to kill Yura, grab the Nagakiba, then you can run down here to Fort Height West, and on top of that fort, there's going to be one knight there. Kill him and he's going to drop the Bloody Slash Ash of War for you, and you can have this combination for the entire game. Now, real quick, before we go into the armor and talismans and the rest of the build, I am going to tell you guys that because this is a New Game Plus build, I am going to have some faith left over, so the buffs you see in this video are Flame Grant Me Strength and Golden Vow. Pretty standard, great buffs, but if you have extra stats left over, pour them into faith so you can get those extra damage buffs and damage negation buffs for yourself. Now, as far as the armor goes, I went for purely aesthetic because of the samurai RP of this build. I am using the Lands of Reed's Helm, the Ronin armor, the Elden Lord bracers, and Blythe's greaves. I think all of this combined looks really great. It definitely has that samurai RP vibe that I want to go for. It does not, however, have the poise cap of 51, so you can get knocked out of some attacks if you are not careful, but like I said, I wasn't exactly going for the most armor, but I was going for aesthetics for this build. If you want all of these armor pieces, you can get the Land of Reed's Helm from the samurai starting class when you start the game. The Ronin armor is unattainable if you kill Yura, so if you kill Yura in the beginning of the game, you cannot get his armor set. It is only acquired through his entire quest line, so make sure to do that to get this chest piece. The Elden Lord bracers you can find from Enya at Round Table Hold after defeating Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, and for Blythe's greaves, you will get those after you defeat him during Ronnie's quest line. And now for the talismans, what makes this build work and how everything stacks on top of each other with really great synergy. So I'm going to list all the talismans out, and then I'm going to explain exactly where you get them and what they do for this build. First off, we're going to be using the Shard of Alexander, Lord of Blood's Exaltation, the Rotten Wing's Sword Insignia, and Milicent's Prosthesis. All of these are going to build together a really great synergy that's going to allow you to do a lot of damage, and the more times you hit your target, the more times you're getting that blood loss, the more damage you are then going to do with your skills and your attacks. So let's talk about the Shard of Alexander. The Shard of Alexander is arguably one of the best talisman in the entire game. You can get this talisman from completing Alexander's questline, and you can start that questline in Limgrave right here at this location, but this talisman is going to give you a 15% damage boost to your skills. So any skill or Ash of War that we use, aka our Blood Tax or our Bloody Slash, is going to have an extra 15% damage boost on top of that, which is going to help us do a lot of damage, especially in these New Game Plus situations. Now for the Lord of Blood's Exaltation, this is also going to help you get more damage out. It's going to raise your attack power by 20% when blood loss occurs in the vicinity, and considering every single one of our weapons we're using is going to cause blood loss, this is going to happen more times than not, and it's going to last for 20 seconds. You can find this talisman when you defeat Edgar, Priest of Blood, in the Lindell Catacombs within the capital. And for the last two, the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia and Milicent's Prosthesis, you can't actually get these in the same playthrough. You have to do a first playthrough and then a New Game Plus playthrough to get both of these talismans, unless for whatever reason you have somebody drop one for you. But both of these talismans are going to be quest rewards for completing Milicent's questline, which I will have a link to in the description, and there will be a little icon in the top right now that will connect you directly to that video that I have on my channel if you need to know how to do her questline and get these two items. Both of these talismans are going to do something similar, but in my opinion, I feel the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia is going to do it a little bit better, and that's going to greatly increase your attack power with successive attacks, and it has 3 different tiers just like the Milicent's Prosthesis does. It's going to have a 6% tier, a 8% tier, and a 13% tier based on the number of successive attacks you are doing. These talismans are going to proc really well for you when you're using the Naginata, especially with the Blood Tax Ash of War, but they will also work very well with the Blood Nagakiba that we are also using. The Milicent's Prosthesis, however, is going to give you something that the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia is not, and that is going to be a +5 to your dexterity, and then it's also going to have successive attack power gains based on a smaller number of attack powers. So, for example, you will still get that attack power boost with the Milicent's Prosthesis, but the percent and numbers at which you get that attack power boost are going to be less than the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia. With Milicent's Prosthesis, you're going to get a 4%, 6%, and 11% damage increase based on your successive attacks, but the best thing about both of these talismans is that they stack, so you are actually getting way more attack power boost than one can give you when you combine it with the second one. So with this being a pretty long video as is, we're going to go over the Flask of Wonders Physic, and then I won't have any summon recommendations for you in this video, but I'll pin them in the comment down below if you want to use some good summons with this build. First and foremost, we're going to be using the Green Burst Crystal tier, which is going to temporarily boost the recovery speed of our stamina. With all the different Ash of Wars we're using and the different attacks we have with these two weapons, it's going to eat through your stamina pretty quickly, and having the extra stamina recovery speed is really nice with this particular tier. And we're also going to be using the Thorny Crack tier, which is going to make your consecutive attacks grow stronger. So much like the Milicent's Prosthesis and the Rotten Wing Sword Insignia, doing more attacks in rapid succession is going to make you do more and more damage. The damage increase you're going to be getting from this tier is going to be 9%, 13%, and then 20%, but if you use the Blood Tax next Ash of War, you're going to be getting that 20% right away after that Ash of War is finished hitting your target. If you want to snag this crystal tier for yourself, it is going to be dropped from a tree avatar in the consecrated snowfields, and the Greenburst crystal tier is going to be dropped by a minor Erd tree that's going to be found in Caelid, east of the Smoldering Church. And guys, that's going to be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I loved making this build for you guys, and let me know down in the comments if there's anything that you would change, anything that you would improve, or different weapons that you might use for this build. I absolutely loved the Samurai build. This was a New Game Plus build, and I will leave my stats currently up on the screen so you guys can see exactly what I'm working with. This is a Dex Arcane build, so you're going to have that emphasis on bleed and dexterity damage, but I'm level 294, and I will leave the stats for you if you want to level this build up from 0 to 150 on the screen right now. There's going to be a Bloody Executioner build coming next week, so stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that sub button and hit that bell notification so you can know when I'm making more content. I do make content every Monday and Friday with shorts in between, so stay tuned for all that. And until next time, everybody, stay safe, enjoy the game. I'll see you in the next one.